So good afternoon, dear students. So we'll start the class on time.
చెక్క నాకి జనాలు తెరిస్తే ఇంకా చెక్క
Okay. Good afternoon, one and all. So we'll start today. The number is pretty good, 33 students. Okay. We'll start today's class. Today we have to discuss about the comparison between grid computing and MapReduce. So in the previous class, we discussed about the comparison between the RDBMS and MapReduce. We discussed how MapReduce became one of the prominent technology in overcoming big data problems. So we discussed, and yeah, today we'll work with grid computing and how exactly differences, similarities between grid computing we'll discuss. To start with, first definition of grid computing. So grid computing is a collection of computer resources from multiple locations to reach a common goal. And of course, a grid can be thought of a distributed system with non-interactive workloads. So workload, whatever you assign to each computer in the grid, so will not interact with each other. So that involves large number of files. So generally you have a grid server which maintains a lot of computers. So this is, and computing will takes place on all computers, which we call it as grid computing. And users are normally connected to grid computing. Okay, so in general, grid computing system requires at least one server which handles and administers all the operations in a network. So that is one good thing. Second thing is the network of computers running special grid computing network software. So you need a network software, special network software, in order to work with this grid computing. A collection of computer software called middleware is present across all the computers, So that is one very important concept, important thing that we have to consider. So that is what we call it as you know grid computing. Grid computing usually has a non-interactive thing. So one very important thing, so non-interactive workloads, the workloads, so you cannot you know uh, interact. So one computer, another computer will not discuss what is the other computer is doing. That's a different thing. And you need a middleware. There is a special software to construct all these things. You need a middleware, so which is quite expensive to set up a grid. And so you need a normally grid server will be a supercomputer or mainframe computer, which certainly maintains all these things. So that is another component that we should consider. And working of grid computing, how exactly grid computing works. In a grid computing, the computers on the network can work on tasks together, so thus functioning like a supercomputer. Okay, it is a parallel to, actually, in fact, grid computing concept came into existence just to bring down the cost of supercomputers. Supercomputers were very much costly, and it requires a lot of investment. So in order to bring parallel technology to supercomputers, actually grid computing started with the processing of data across multiple systems, processing of data, it was started actually. And of course, the concept called high performance computing. So computing used to get very high performance. So that means the not even a single minute, not even single second, the processor used to sit idle. The grid server used to give lot of data to the nodes so that it can process. One of the very good live example that I have seen here in India is in ISRO. ISRO, in order to maintain satellites, in order to maintain the activities of the satellites, various sensors that are there in the satellites, their data collected from the satellites. So these grid computing computers are even today they are working. So that is one large scale it is working. And of course, grid computing communities have been doing very large data processing for years. For many years, it was one of the successful technology using such APIs as message passing interface, MPIs. So application program interface used to pass messages between one computer to another computer. So here the program output input is not shared. They share MPI, message parsing interface. Message parsing interface is being employed here in order to have this high performance computing. And HPC to distribute work across a cluster of machines which access a shared file system or hosted on a SAN, storage area network. Storage area network is another technology where the shared files can be accessed on a group of computers. A distributed work of cluster machines will certainly use this. So that is with respect to storage area network. So storage area network, where it stores computer, it stores a set of data, and that data which is stored in a SAN, it will be used. But remember, so whenever you want to use SAN and this HPC, you need a middleware software, which is not free of cost. It is proprietary software, and you need a lot of, again, little bit investment. HPC works well, predominantly compute intensive jobs, but became problem when nodes needs to access larger volume of data. Very, very, very important thing. So when your you know uh, computer, you have hundreds of gigabytes of data. So you have hundreds of gigabytes of data. So there is a problem. It becomes a problem. Very, very important point that you should understand. So it becomes a problem uh, when you have large volume of data. That is, since the network bandwidth is the bottleneck. So data cannot move far, faster, because bandwidth is limited, and many times this computing nodes goes idle. So this is very, very important thing. So many times the computing nodes goes idle, so you cannot achieve this HPC, high performance computing. So since computers goes idle, so you cannot achieve. So this is the concept, this is the drawback, this is the main concept you have to point, that you have to understand and note. And remember, in the examination, the same point you have to write, same point you have to write in order to gain good marks. And further, MapReduce tries to collocate the data with the compute node. So data access is fast, since it is local. And of course, MapReduce, what happens here, data locality is very important. Data is not at all moved in the case of MapReduce. I have been telling from yesterday, in MapReduce, data will never move. Only programs will move from server to the nodes itself. The programs will execute simultaneously on all nodes, but data will not execute. Data will not, move. Only programs will move. So that's why. So data access is fast, since the data is stored in a local computer. Data locality, where data is there itself data will be there. Data will not be moved. It is the heart of MapReduce. This is the reason for good performance of MapReduce. Data will not be moved. Instead of data movement, so you have the program itself moving from the server to the nodes, so that you get access. You get access to the various programs, data. So, and the performance will be continued. So that is one good thing that you should understand. And another thing is, recognizing the network bandwidth is the most precious resource in the data center environment. So the bandwidth is, recognition of the bandwidth is the most important thing, and it is easy to saturate network links by copying data around. And MapReduce implementations go to great length to conserve it by explicitly modeling the network topology. So maintaining the topology, maintaining the bandwidth is the main concern here when we talk about data center environment. And your message passing interface, MPI, message passing interface, MPI, gives a great control to the programmer, but requires that he or she explicitly handle the mechanism of data flow. So data flow is restricted here. Data flow is restricted here, and of course you can think of, programmer writing programs in such a way that programs will move to the clusters and it will start executing. So MapReduce operates only at a higher level. The programmer thinks in terms of function of keys and value pairs. So what is there in MapReduce program? Finally, MapReduce program is a program. Normally, we write it key and value pairs, and the data flow is implicit, and the data flow is controlled by the internal components. So MapReduce will not be worried about the data flow. MapReduce worries about the splitting of data and the rejoining of data. So that is what we call it as key and value pair. So you have your data made it as split as keys and values, and based on that, MapReduce operates, and you will get the results. Processing is done, and finally you get the results. So that is the thing. And of course, coordinating the process in the grid computing face two major challenges. So when we compare grid computing with MapReduce, MapReduce has a lot of advantages. But the grid computing still faces two major challenges. First one, large-scale distributed computing. So there is a limitation with respect to grid computing. You cannot have more computers. There is a limitation. There is a seal. There is a a fixed size of grid computing. So beyond that size, of course, grid computing cannot work. For MapReduce, you don't have such limitations. You don't have such limitations. So it is. And if something goes wrong in grid computing, so it can only handle the failures partially. Handling partial failure, when you don't know if a remote process has failed or not, so it still makes the progress with respect to the overall computation. So that is another big problem with respect to grid computing. So grid computing, we have the problem. So the problem goes exactly like this. And MapReduce spares the programmer from having to think about failure. Since the implementation detects failed map reduce tasks and reschedules the replacement on missions that are healthy, and of course MapReduce is able to do, since because of it's shared nothing, it will never share anything. Everything is independent. The entire MapReduce architecture is non-shared architecture. So you will understand in the next few cases, the next few chapters, that how exactly MapReduce will not share anything, meaning that the tasks that have no dependency on each other. So definitely, if there is no dependency, so definitely the progress will be ultimately independent and do a lot of things. And that is one very important thing. So, and MapReduce, actually, the we have two components here in MapReduce: the data node and master node. Master node, we call it as a name node. Name node always checks the health of data node. So if the health of data node is not proper, if it is not correct, automatically it diverts the the data tasks to some other node. Automatically the replication is there. So using replication, using we call it as health check. So regularly what happens, the data nodes has to send heartbeat signals, in the sense it has to send signals to the name node that oh, I am present, I am alive, I am working, I'm alive, working, I'm alive, working. So there is a heartbeat information. So every 3 seconds, every 5 seconds, the data node will send a message to the name node telling that it is alive, it is alive, it is alive. So once if the data node stops sending the heartbeat messages to name node, automatically name node will understand, oh, there is a problem with this data node. And immediately what happens in the background, it will create the parallel to this data node. It will create parallel data node with the backup that it has. So that is one automated component, which we will discuss in the upcoming classes. We'll discuss in the upcoming classes about all these things. So that is how exactly MapReduce handles the the failures. How exactly it will have. And very important thing that you should note is it is the architecture is itself. It is a shared nothing architecture. That means no task is dependent on each other. Is one very important thing that you should understand. That one very important thing that you should understand. So that is the thing. And so with this advantages, the programmer can certainly, from the programmer's point of view, the order in which the tasks run doesn't matter. So since there is no dependency in the tasks, so programmer can run any part of the program independent of its processing. So by contrast, your MPI message part, passing interface programs have to explicitly manage their own checkpoints and recovery, which gives more control to the program, but makes them more difficult to write. So MPI programs are not so easy. Message passing interface programs are not so easy. So compared to all those things, MapReduce programs are damn easy, even though it handles sufficiently large amount of data. So it's the style of working with the MapReduce is so easy, and you will experience. In fact, we write a lot of programs on it. We certainly understand. MapReduce might sound like quite restrictive programming model, and in a sense it is you are limited to only write the program, or you are supposed to write the program in such a way that it should handle the entire data in the form of key and value. It should divide the entire program, entire data set into a key and value types that are related to a specific ways. The mappers and reducers run at very limited coordination between each other. So that is the only restriction that you have with respect to, your MapReduce. So MapReduce program is pretty simple and efficiently can manage big data. Note that this MapReduce module has only one restriction: all the data, irrespective of your data type, unstructured, structured, what it will do, it will make the data, it will work the data in the fashion of key and value pairs. So it will convert the data as key and value, and it starts working. So that is what you consider. So finally, we have to have a comparative study between grid computing and MapReduce. So normally there is a question. Normally there will be a question based on this MapReduce programs. So we have the question like no. First, the difference between MapReduce and grid computing. This is a question, sure question, or in case if they don't ask this, they'll definitely ask the difference between your MapReduce and RDBMS. Definitely there will be a question. And the first difference, grid computing message parts, passing interface with MapReduce is, so grid computing works well, predominantly compute intensive jobs, but become problem when accessing nodes of what you call large size. Very, very important. Large volume of data. So this is very, very important. When it is accessing or working with large volume data, the network bandwidth will makes the node idle. That is the first point. Whereas in the case of MapReduce, Hadoop tries to collocate with the data and compute nodes so that the data access is fast, and because of the data locality. So data will be present in such a way that it is easily accessible. So data is split in such a way that it can independently access, it can independently process, and it can independently evaluate for analytics. Certainly, it can be used for analytics. So that is one very important thing. Next concept is, next difference is MapReduce program since implementation detects always the failure of tasks. It always work on the where exactly program failed. So, and it reschedules the implementation on the machine. If a data node fails, immediately it will be notified to the the name node, and name node will understand, oh, since there is no heartbeat signal, so automatically what it will do, it will imagine, and it will create another data node with the backup data. So automatically the job is resumed, rescheduled immediately, okay, within 3 seconds. So which is not possible. So in message passing interface API, so MPI program have to explicitly manage their own checkpoint and recovery, which gives more control to the programmer but makes it very difficult. The program becomes very difficult. That's another very important point. But in MapReduce, so failed tasks are immediately detected, and rescheduling of replacement on the machine is immediately happened. So that is because of the style it works. The style it works. And the next one is MPI. So there is grid computing works on shared resource architecture, but MapReduce is a shared and nothing architecture. So that is the first and foremost difference. You don't share anything. If there is no sharing, there is no dependency. And if there is no dependency, your program will work ultimately independent, and it works fast. So that is another good thing about this. And further, the last point about the differences between grid computing and MapReduce is that, so grid computing gives great control to the programmer, and it also requires that the explicit handling of data flow. Explicit handling of data flow is not so easy. When you are working with parallel processing, handling of data flow is not so easy. Many times the bandwidth is the limitation, and meanwhile what happens, the program has to be very much optimistic. It should be written in a very optimized way so that it can handle the entire process efficiently, but that is not so easy. When it comes to Hadoop or your MapReduce ecosystem, so what happens? The higher level program thinks in terms of data model, since the data flow is absolutely taken care by the implicit the architecture itself. The name node will take care, and the data nodes automatically it will handle the data very efficiently. Only the program movement has to be done, not the data movement. So ultimately you will save a lot of time. Meanwhile you can able to achieve good speed of process execution. So that's all for today's class. We discussed about how exactly grid computing is compared with MapReduce. So these are all the very important points that normally asked in the examination. and certainly in the next class we'll be discussing about voluntary computing. So voluntary computing, how exactly voluntary computing is contributing to data analysis and how it is different from MapReduce. So that is another concept. So before I conclude today's class, I would like to I'd like to remind you all people that tomorrow is the last date for submission of your assignments. And remember, as soon as the lockdown is lifted up, so we are going to face the internals. We are going to face the examination. There is VC has announced, Vice Chancellor has announced in the yesterday's meeting that most of our exams will happen as scheduled. So there is no change in the schedule of examination. So kindly keep that in mind, and so you should be working towards your examination from now onwards. So kindly submit your assignments today itself. Tomorrow is the last day. Don't wait till tomorrow. Today itself you finish assignments. I've given only 4 questions. Notes is also available. Only thing you have to search the answer, correct answer, and you have to write on your own words the answers, and the same PDF file you have to upload. So yesterday also I have shared the link where you have to you are supposed to upload the PDF files, and once the college reopens, you have to submit that assignment books to the faculty. So that's all for today's class. The today's class recording will be available in this particular website, and the study materials are also available in this particular website. Have a nice day. Thank you for attending this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.